What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Bigfry, and today I want to talk about a couple of different things. This video is spawning off of the whole controversy surrounding Anthem, its VIP demo weekend, and just the absolute shit show that EA and BioWare now have on their hands. It's interesting. I made a video a couple of years ago, actually back in, I believe, 2016, and that video was titled The Worst Generation in Gaming History. And there was a lot of people who agreed with me back then. There were a lot of people that disagreed with me as well. It was a very controversial video. But I'm looking at this and I'm realizing that everything that I said in that video still holds true today, and it's actually gotten worse as time went on. In that video, it was mainly about the launch window games and how the lack of innovation this time around in this generation is actually killing the gaming industry. And we look around now at the industry and just how much of it is in shambles. A lot of people don't like to look at the business side of things. They like to look at the games that they're playing and they're enjoying. And this isn't negating the great games that we got last year, like God of War and Red Dead Redemption and games like Horizon and Uncharted and all of these masterpiece games, right? This isn't talking about this. This is talking about the games as a service, the microtransactions, the games like Anthem and Destiny that are these MMO light games as a service, DLC ridden, fucking incomplete products. And excuse my language, but I see a lot of developers jumping to EA and BioWare's defense with the launch or the VIP demo experience this weekend. And it's starting to really piss me off. I'm not gonna lie to you. This generation has been an absolute disaster when it comes to innovation, when it comes to the amount of games that we were getting, when it comes to the games that we're getting that don't work on day one because it's always online connectivity issues. And then when we get into those games, we realize that they're always incomplete experiences, and then the rest of the game is being filled out with DLCs. People are actually getting sick and fucking tired of companies like EA, companies like Ubisoft, companies like Activision. They're getting fed up, and this is actually a huge problem. EA's stock has dropped off the fucking map compared to where it was before. Companies are feeling the pressure more than ever. And the problem with this is we have now, in this generation, eliminated that AA market. And what I mean by that is games that came out last generation and generations previous that didn't have multi-million-dollar marketing budgets or huge 15 studio development studios and huge publisher dollars backing them. They didn't need any of that. They threw out a game. The game might have come out at a lower price point than something like a Grand Theft Auto or a Call of Duty, and they still were able to thrive, and they were still able to create games like that. But now what we have is we have the AAA market and we have the indie scene. And one development through the last few years, the fact that the indie scene has now morphed from studios that didn't have publisher money to now studios that have publishers and have marketing, but just not on the same level as a Battlefield or a Call of Duty. The AA market has now been swallowed and morphed into what we now consider indie titles. And that's a problem because now we're having two markets trying to not really compete against one another, but trying to always compete for market share. And when we have the AAA scene taking an absolute shit kicking that it has over the past 365 days, you think of the controversy with the loot boxes in EA. You think of when Battlefront launched and how much shit EA took for that. You think of when games like Ghost Recon Wildlands launched for Ubisoft, and even though it was a commercial success, there was no longevity. You played the game once and it was over. For the most part, the player base dropped off the fucking map, and that's a fact. You have games coming out all the time that have issues at launch in terms of their servers or in terms of things just not working properly, and then you have that I would say the 1% AAA games like Red Dead Redemption and God of War. But it's an absolute shit show right now, and it's in shambles. And then when we look at the indie scene, yeah, there's a lot of indie games that are probably pretty good, but they're absolutely getting swallowed up on the Steam marketplace and other marketplaces where they're just getting swallowed by so much shovelware, garbage games from garbage developers who don't put even a fucking ounce of work into their product. So there's just so many games going to the Steam store. I think Steam actually just came out and said here at the end of last year that there was like 30,000 games on the store. That's ridiculous. It's not even fucking necessary. If Steam were to clean up that store and actually put out the quality products and actually did quality testing, that wouldn't be an issue. But I'm bringing it up now because it is a part of the industry. We're at a moment right now where EA and Ubisoft and Activision stocks are declining. We have developers like Bungie who are literally celebrating the fact that they split from Activision and got to keep the Bungie name. Obviously, there was some tension there as well in terms of the microtransactions and the predatory practices that these publishers have been putting on developers. This is a problem. And seeing other like community managers and developers run to EA and BioWare's aid when we have yet another failed experience, it fucking irritates me. I saw a tweet from the community manager for Scum. You guys remember Scum? It had a lot of fucking launch issues. He put out a tweet here a couple of hours ago at the time of recording this video. What's frustrating is when someone tells you how to do a job that they've never done. And if it ends up being your job, well then that's just the cherry on top. And in that tweet, he linked a PC Gamer article. And the headline of that article was, "It's frustrating that in 2019, games still can't avoid day one server issues." And I actually agree with that sentiment wholeheartedly. What the fuck do we have to do as consumers to get it through your heads that we are absolutely fed up? It is taken so long to get to this point, and I am actually really happy when I see things like EA's stock declining. That actually, as bad as it is because I am a part of this industry, it actually makes me feel good on the inside. And that's not a good mindset to be in, but it's the one that we have to be in. Battlefront sales down, Battlefield 5 sales down, Anthem I can't imagine is going to do much after this, and even before I didn't really see any hype for it anyway. We are at the cusp of what could potentially be the downfall of the AAA market as we know it. And we've seen little sprinkles of change happen over the course of the last couple of years. Things like when Titanfall came out and they were not charging for DLC, it's all gonna be free. Stuff like that is good for the industry, but then EA just absolutely tanks Titanfall's chances with the release date. We're getting there, but we're not quite there yet. But we're looking around here and it's not really a healthy market. When we have early access games, huge games blowing up like Atlas, when you see that it's literally just a reskin of Ark, people are fucking spawning in things from other mods of this Ark system, and you can go into the back-end menus and realize it's literally just a shell around a previous game that they've released. Studio Wildcard just totally shit the bed on that, but it's blowing up because that's literally all we have when it comes to, you know, games like that, survival games or whatever. You have Fallout 76, which I don't even need to fucking describe how much of a shit show that was. People are losing faith in game developers, and it's creating a very toxic environment for these developers to go out in. And when you look around, you look at people like Void Interactive, they haven't said shit about Ready or Not, and we've been waiting for a fucking long time. I don't even know how long it's been. I think it's been a year or two since they've announced it, and we haven't even had a game trailer. We haven't had pre-orders come out. We haven't had anything. Even though they promised the trailer and the pre-orders to come out last July and for the game to launch in November, they're radio silent. And it's starting to create a toxic whirlwind of players being like, what the fuck are you guys doing? What is happening? There's no transparency here. There's no openness. What is happening? And here they are. They're doing the exact opposite of somebody like Anthem, who launched a demo, or you could say a beta, and totally shit the bed. It's a lose-lose for devs at this point. Until you look at what happened with Nintendo last week, when they announced that, hey, Metroid Prime wasn't living up to the standard of development that we place on our games, and we're scrapping everything and we're starting from scratch. For a studio, for a publisher, for anybody to come out and say that in this climate is a fucking death sentence. But because it's Nintendo and because of the way they did it, it's actually resonating with players. You're open and honest, and it's about the quality. And you know why Nintendo isn't taking shit for that? It's not just because they're Nintendo and they get a pass. Because let's be honest, their online service and everything else they've been doing around that has been trash and they've been taking the shit for it. But when you're open and honest about the quality of the products that you want to provide and you want to make sure that it's up to your standard, people accept it. So why can't EA's and Ubisoft's and Activision's and all of these other companies, even down to the early access companies, like, why is it that Nintendo comes out and are totally open and honest, releasing an official statement in 4 minutes or less, and people resonate with it? The industry was in shambles before I made that video in 2016, and from that video to where we are now, the industry is almost being flipped on its head, in a sense. And the Anthem demo and the tweets that I've been seeing from developers jumping up to defend it, it's just pushed me a little bit. I wasn't even going to talk about the game because honestly, from the moment I saw it, I wasn't hyped. I thought it was going to be trash, and from the general reception that I'm seeing over the internet, just outside of the server issues and the lag and all that, the game itself just doesn't seem to be resonating with players. So mark another one off the list. And it'll be interesting to see because BioWare had a terrible launch with Mass Effect Andromeda this generation. And now we're here with Anthem. Now granted, it's probably two different teams under the same studio umbrella. But what's going to happen to BioWare if this game flops? What's going to happen to EA? Because they've had Battlefront, they've had Battlefield 5, and now they have Anthem, all flopping. If Anthem does flop, what's going to happen? What's the change that needs to be made? This is an interesting time to be somebody who watches and analyzes the industry and talks about the business side of things, because they're in quite the pickle if this game doesn't perform well. And I'm curious to see the backlash from that. Let me know what you guys think down below. Honestly, this video is so unstructured, I just had to fucking talk. I was sitting on this, I'm just like, hey, I want to talk about Anthem and its failed launch, and I'm seeing all these tweets. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just jump in, record my thoughts. I tried to keep it as concise as possible. But let me know what you guys think down below about Anthem, about the industry, about early access, whatever it is you guys want to talk about. Let's just get the conversations going. If you guys enjoy the content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're shooting for 100,000 subscribers here as fast as we possibly can. And if you guys want to be a part of something big, I would suggest hitting that subscribe button. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for everything. And I'll see you on the next one.